Hello and welcome back to another We Ourselves video, and today I want to add my review for the movie Sinners, a Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler project. Was it a good movie? Did I like it? Did I enjoy it? Well, I'm going to cover all of that today in this basically non-spoiler review. Now, the first thing that I want to say before I go forward is although my initial reaction to the movie and my review will be non-spoilerish, but later on as I talk about other aspects of the film, some of those things may be considered spoilerish by some people. So if you haven't seen the movie, please go and see the movie first. So anyway, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about Sinners. First of all, Sinners, as you may or may not know, is a 2025 American horror film written, co-produced, and directed by Ryan Coogler. It's set in the 1932 in the Mississippi Delta, in the middle of sharecropping and Jim Crow. The film stars Michael B. Jordan in dual roles as twin brothers, Elijah and Elias, or as they're known in the movie, Smoke and Stack, who return to their hometown to start again, only to be confronted by a supernatural evil. The film also stars Haley Steinfeld, Miles Canton, which I think this is his first role, Jake O'Connell, Wunmi Masaku, Jamie Lawson, Omar Miller, and Delroy Lindo as Delta Slim. So what did I think of the movie? The movie's fantastic. It's great. I know some people have nitpicked about certain things, and I'll talk about things later, but overall, the movie is phenomenal. I went to see it on the first weekend, the first Sunday, with a theater packed with people. It was good to watch it that way because you're reacting with everybody else. It's well directed. It's well acted. I know some people were complaining about the accents being a little spotty. For me, overall, the ambiance and the tone and the setting works. You feel like you were in 1932 Mississippi Delta, like I said, in the heart of sharecropping and Jim Crow. All of those elements in there, and I will talk about them. The cinematography was fantastic. I went to see it on IMAX. I advise everybody to go and see it on the IMAX. Make sure you have a good sound system. The music was phenomenal, and it was the heart of the movie. Hats off to Ludwig Göransson, who does the music once again. Ryan Coogler has been working with this guy since he met him in college, and he did music for his student films. It's a wonderful collaboration. To me, his music adds so much to Ryan Coogler's films. Some of the less enthusiastic reviews have noted that the first part of the movie, they feel like it drags, or the first part of the movie feels like a drama and not a horror film. And I have to say that they are right about that. Some other things that I like. I think one of the best transitions that I've seen in a recent movie has to do with the transition from the first time you see the vampires and then they transition back to the cousins, the twin brothers, Smoke and Stack, and the Miles Canton character, Sammy, or as they say, Preacher Boy in the movie. The transition, the use of the music, the optics, the visuals, the cinematography, to me, is one of the best transitions in the movies. And of course, everybody is talking about the totally awesome and jaw-dropping music montage when they take you through the history of Black music. They go to the African roots, they go to the American past, they go to the present, they even work in Asian music. The camera moves around the juke joint, and as it moves around the juke joint, you have the blues that's going on at first, but then they start mixing in all these other genres and eras of Black music. And not only do you see the people that perform that music, but you see the people who enjoy the music. So you get the performers, you get the dancers, but how they mix in all these different eras and genres of music on top of the blues, it is fantastic editing, it's fantastic cinematography. So all of that is really phenomenal, and you feel it, particularly if you watch it in the movie theater. And the whole idea that music, particularly Black music, blues or whatever, it can open the doorway between the realms. That's how powerful it is. You get that on the very front of the movie with a folk tale or a myth talking about how some musicians, when they sing or they perform, they can open the doorway between the worlds. That's the key point that's mentioned at the beginning of the movie, and it's mentioned again. And you see that with Sammy, Preacher Boy character, when he plays at the juke joint. And that is the plot point that really draws the vampires to them. So those are the things that I liked about Sinners. My overall opinion of the movie: is it perfect? No. Does it have some issues? Yes. But it's an experience, and you cannot deny that. If you have any intentions of seeing Sinners, don't wait for it to come on streaming. Go and experience it in a movie theater. Like Dune 1 and 2, this movie was shot and edited, and the sound editing was done so you could experience it in the movie theater. So if you have any intentions of seeing it, if you're curious about all the talk, go and see it in the theater. Now, that being said, I want to go into some issues about the movie that I noticed. But before I do, I just want to say that I don't support the idea that you have to either 100% support a movie or 100% hate it. You can like a movie while still acknowledging problems within it. Or you can dislike a movie while admitting that movie did some things well. For example, I liked the first 2 Deadpool movies, and I thought the second movie had the most heart. But I didn't like the third. Even though it was great having Hugh Jackman's Wolverine back, I grew up on the Fox X-Men. All the cameos were cool, and I loved seeing Wesley Snipes' Blade on the big screen again. Yet I thought the overall story was trash, and I hated how they messed up the TVA. But I get why other people liked the movie. On the other hand, as a Potterhead and a Harry Potter book reader, I loved all the Harry Potter movies. But when I talk about them with other Potter fans, we nitpick the hell out of the movies. There are plenty of things wrong with the films, but we still love them. And so you don't have to be 100% one way or 100% the other way. And we need to be able to accept that from people who may not love something or may have some critiques of it. And of course, I'm doing all that to lead into the things that I want to say about Sinners. So what are my problems with Sinners? First, you have the historical inaccurate depiction of Delta Chinese relationship with black sharecroppers. The information has been out there and is currently being highlighted in response to the movie, and unfortunately, a lot of supporters of the movie don't like to hear it. But it's history. The Delta Chinese were not buddy-buddy with black sharecroppers. They themselves were allowed to have stores in order to block black people's commercial potential. Again, it's history. It's documented. Second, the hoodoo in the movie wasn't related to Christianity at all, which means that Annie was really doing voodoo, which is more of the religion, the West African religion. Hoodoo is the spell and root work, but it's always mixed in with Christianity. It wasn't really shown in the movie, and Annie herself wasn't developed as much as she should have been. Third, and this is the biggest issue with me, is that you have 2 genres that are not mixed well. You have a period piece drama and you have a vampire horror. Plus, you have 3 valid storylines that should have been their own films. And I've seen reviewers do mental gymnastics to praise this mashup as brilliant and inspired. No, it's not. That's not how it works, people. Sinners, despite the acting, the music, and the awesome cinematography, is a narrative mess. When you have too many stories, you sacrifice characterization. And all movies are about the characters, in particular, the main character and the journey they go on. Sinners sacrificed all real character development and depth for style. And I know that's going to upset a lot of people that I said it, but again, you can acknowledge that a film has a lot of good aspects, and overall it has a really phenomenal effect. At the same time, you can acknowledge the inherent problems in the story. And the story, the narrative, is a mess. It just simply is. Sammy, when we get to the end and he looks back on the Jim Crow South and he says that that was one of the best days of his life, even though it's now decades later. Obviously, it looks like he become a successful blues player. He has his own club or whatever it is. But instead of saying any of those, he looks all the way back at this day during Jim Crow South, during sharecropping time. And sharecropping people was just another name for slavery, because in the movie, we see that former slaves, or now sharecroppers, are literally living in the same housing that they did when they were slaves. They are still picking cottons like they did when they were slaves, and they are still living on the same plantation as they did when they were slaves. That is why historians say that sharecropping after slavery was just another name for slavery. And it is also part of the justice claim for descendants of American slavery. But my thing that got me about Sammy saying that was one of the best days of his life, he could have looked back and said that day was something, that day changed my life, which it actually did. But no, he said that was the best day of his life. But if you don't pay attention, you'll miss the implication. The best day of his life was back in the Jim Crow South. And I'm sorry, and I know people might get upset, but it just reminded me of that idiot Byron Donalds, the MAGA black Republican, who walked around saying that black people, black Americans, were better off during Jim Crow. So that's my review of Sinners. That's my take on Sinners. I'm going to do more in-depth videos about some of these topics, particularly talking about the story structure. If you are interested at all in seeing it, go and see it in the theaters. Don't wait for it to come in on streaming. Go and see it, experience it, and now you can form your own opinion about the movie. So anyway, that's what I wanted to bring to you today. As always, like, subscribe, and share, and I will see you in the next video.